Sis, Caitlin, Mariana, Melly Rose, Valerie, Diana. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Go ahead and let everyone else in here. How are you all doing today? Do you want to give me like a thumbs up, sideways, smile, crying, whatever you're feeling today? I do apologize. My voice is a little bit less than normal because I had that real estate conference I was talking to you about. This is me speaking on stage, looking real cool. Thank you, Mariana. I appreciate it. And yeah, it went great. We had like 250 people coming out, 250 real estate investors. And actually, I don't know if I told you all, but I traded a place a week in Utah for a sponsor who they paid $5,000 and a week in this place. So check it out. I'm in Utah right now. Here's the snowy mountains in the background, little hot tub. And this is the place. How cool is this, huh? Nice house, huh? Anyway, not my place, but still fun. Why don't we go ahead and pop up the poll to get kicked off for the week? No right or wrong answers, but we're going to be talking about grit and resilience this week, right? Being tough, bouncing back when things happen, and don't just give up, right? You got to push through those difficult times. So go ahead and answer the first question here. When stress hits, what helps you bounce back the most? Do you like to talk to someone you trust, maybe take a little break from it, reframing the challenge, or just ignore it and move on to the next thing? There's a lot of different ways to deal with stress. But we'll talk about some effective ways to kind of push forward when you're having a tough time today. Question number two, which area in your life could use more grit or consistency? I know a lot of you have talked about schoolwork. I see that's the number one answer so far. But we've got relationships on here, fitness, health, maybe a hobby or a skill, something you've been wanting to do more of. What's number one for you right now? And our last question here, number three, if you could improve one skill for resilience, what would it be? So when you want to bounce back better, which of these do you think is going to help you bounce back the most? Just staying calm, not getting too emotional about it, keeping that motivation, right? Like how do you stay motivated to do something when you have a setback? And I think part of it is keeping that long-term goal in mind, right? What you're working to achieve and maybe some of the rewards that come with that end game. Last couple on here, recovering faster after failure, so bouncing back a little bit quicker, or just believing in yourself that you ultimately can get it done. So I'll give you a few more seconds to answer this. Almost everyone's got it in actually so far. So we're going to share the results in three, two, one. Here we go. I'm going to share them out with you all. And actually, I was going to ask one of our YC staff maybe to select someone who hasn't had a chance to share quite as much during our semester so far. I'm not always great about calling on every single person. So I'm going to kick it over to YC staff real quick to call on someone.
Sure. I want to call on Javier Rodriguez.
Javier Rodriguez, what'd you put for number one here?
For number one, I put reframing the challenge.
Reframing the challenge. I like that. Can you give me an example of maybe one time where you had the kind of setback or couldn't quite get to the goal and you had to reframe that challenge a little bit or find a different way to approach it?
Yeah, it was probably when I was doing a history project and I procrastinated a lot. So I looked back at it, looked back at the project, and I found like a easier way I could do it so it wouldn't be late.
Nice. And you sound a little bit like me. I'm a procrastinator too. But I like your approach because maybe there's a lot of different ways to get things done. And if you can find a more efficient, faster way to get the same results, um, I don't want to say that maybe the procrastination helped you, but instead of procrastinating, if you can just think about that quick way to get it done, then it's kind of like the best of both worlds, you know? So you get no criticism, just like I think it's great that you found a quicker way to do it. I used to joke with people that my laziness is what got me so efficient, like doing things so quickly, because I don't want to spend too much time on stuff. But I think we can not be lazy, not be procrastinating, and still find a quick way to get things done too. So I'm glad you found out that way. Thank you, Javier. Actually, why don't you go ahead and select our next person? I'll let you pick whoever you want to answer number two here.
Uh, Valerie Garcia.
Valerie Garcia, what did you put for number two here? Which area in your life could use more grit or consistency?
I chose schoolwork.
Schoolwork. Is there a particular class or what's going on?
Yeah, in my AP in my stats class because I always like have trouble in that class and procrastinate on like studying for a test.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you what percentage of results are within one standard deviation in a normal distribution? I'm just joking.
Um,
I'm just playing. I think a bunch of stat stuff too, and like I think it can be really challenging. There's a lot of technical stuff about it. So here's another thing. Do you have any kind of like maybe strategies when you are having a tough time there? What do you do to try to overcome those challenges? To be like, dang, this is so hard. Do you study more? Do you maybe meet up with some classmates? Go to the teacher? Like, what's your strategy right now for kind of overcoming the obstacles you have in that stats class?
I usually reach out to my friends and like help them. I mean, tell them to help me study
Nice.
because they're like they usually understand it better than me.
Okay, so you got a couple friends that are good at stats.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's perfect, right? And there's so many different ways to overcome the challenges. Like, okay, who's going to be that great resource? And just like we talked about, actually, yeah, in that first question, right, is like, do you talk to someone about it? Maybe taking a step back and revisiting the problem. So whoever it is that's working for you, keep rocking. Thank you for sharing. And I will let you select the next person to answer question number 3 on here, please.
Elias.
Elias, how's it going? Thank you for being a
Great.
student leader. What'd you write for number 3 here? If you could improve one skill for resilience, what would it be?
I wasn't able to get a chance to finish the poll. Can you
Yeah,
like
that's okay. Yeah,
ask?
staying calm under pressure, keeping the motivation going, maybe recovering faster or believing in yourself more.
I think possibly just believing myself more because that self-confidence usually boosts up my self-esteem when trying to do something.
Absolutely. If you don't mind sharing it, it's a little personal, but like, is there maybe some time where you just kind of like didn't quite have the confidence? And what did you do to try to overcome that and be like, you know what? I can do this.
Um, Possibly when I was just like trying to get through school in I think the first last semester of my junior year. Um, I think I was definitely like struggling towards the end. I wasn't like paying attention as much. I couldn't study as much either because I was away for a little bit and
Mhm.
didn't feel prepared for finals. But then I feel like what I ended up doing is just like trusting my gut and then going with what I had to do, and I ended up getting good grades on most of my finals and then ended up getting straight A's as well.
Oh, dang, awesome. Congratulations. And I love, I mean, this is the perfect example of, right, like turning that around. When you hit that problem, when you hit that roadblock, you said you're gone for a while, you're coming back, trying to get in the mix. Again, whichever of these works for you, I think part of the what we'll be talking about today is all these different kind of tools that you can use to overcome these. So know what works for you today, and then keep in mind some of these other tools we're going to talk about. So if that strategy doesn't work on the next time, you'll have a few other tools to use too. So thank you, Elias, for sharing, and congratulations on turning that around, and congratulations on getting straight A's. I've never done that personally, so I can really appreciate it. I'm going to close that poll for today, and we will pop open our presentation. Again, we're going to be talking about grit and resilience today. And actually, we'll just go ahead and skip to the second slide because I already told you the title. And as always, I think maybe this is having a little bit of tough time loading, but maybe I can pull it up. Um, This again, and I did get a question from someone if I'm not going to be teaching the class anymore. I will be teaching the rest of the semester of the class. We just have some other facilitators who are kind of getting some exposure, rotating in. So what Sarah shared with you about last time is this idea of decision architect or decision architecture in the way you want to design your life. So what is that goal that you want to get to? How can you set up your life and all these little things that are going to guide your decision making to make it easier to get towards that goal? So I know one of the things I shared is like, hey, if I want to eat a little bit better, and I think Sarah shared this too, is like putting the healthy food where it's visible when opening the fridge. I shared with you all, if you're not great about getting your homework done, set those reminders and maybe put your actual book or your homework or whatever on your bed or on your chair or wherever you're going to go. So when it's like physically there. So just a couple little, I guess, tips that we threw out. I'm kind of curious if any of you took something out that maybe you're going to do in the future to make it easier to get towards your goal. How are you going to set yourself up to make it easier to succeed? And on that note, I'm going to call on one of our alumni, Diana Gomez. I haven't prepped her for this, but I'm kind of curious, maybe either in the past or going forward, are there some things that you're doing to set yourself up to succeed in the future, to make it a little bit easier to go down that path? Maybe any tips you could share with the rest of our students here.
Yeah, I would say currently right now, because I work somewhere around in a clinical setting. So I'm interning right now in a clinic where I'm like learning how the electronic records, how to make appointments and everything.
Nice. Congratulations. So basically, like that's some you want to have this career in the future. So you're already doing the internship, you're figuring out how do they need to do all the back end, the medical records. I forget. I know there's a bunch of laws around that too, like the HIPAA,
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? Have you had exposure to that before? Or is that all new to you?
No, I also had exposure. This year I had another internship with the UCI um, in OC. So I got HIPAA certified and trained and also learned about like all the communications that happen to like developing health education programs for like diabetes and stuff and all the health education.
So you're already setting yourself up for success before even this most recent round. I love it. And congratulations on those internships. And again, it's like whatever's going to get you closer to that goal. And, it's like setting up so every decision you make along the way. Like I know one of my friends, for example, they got a new, this was a long time ago, got a new internship. And they're like, basic stuff like, hey, I'm always late. So I'm going to like put my clothes out. Or, I want to network more. So I'm going to set a reminder on my phone to, follow up with someone every week. So you're already taking all the right steps in the right direction. Don't stop and keep going, Diana. Congratulations again on that internship. I'm really stoked for you. All right. Now that we circled back on last week, let's go to the next slide, please. And talk about what are we going to learn today exactly. So grit, talking about long-term, it's developed with long-term passion and perseverance. I think, and this is the biggest thing. We've actually talked about this several times with a lot of our classes and a lot of the entrepreneurs that came through class. And if you were here when Miller was on, the magician, oh, you all remember the magician? But he's talking about like going after it, being consistent, being persistent, right? Putting in all that time and effort. It's not just going to like fall into your lap. So you need to be able to overcome obstacles. He actually had shared about an instance where he made kind of some big promises to someone on setting up like all this merch booth at a show, and then showed up with practically nothing compared to another company. Huge setback for him because it was his very first job. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to do this. I'm going to do it right and push forward and make it happen. So for those of you who made it out to the Ignite series, I thought it was a great speaker. It's inspiring for me too, because I've had a lot of setbacks in my life. And actually, this conference, I didn't expect the don't call it a comeback conference because I've been here for years. The idea, okay, some of you know the song, some of you don't. But the idea is whenever you have that setback, I think whatever they say, the difference between, winners and losers is the people who get up and go do it again. So having said that, let's hop out to our next slide, please. Okay, so grit right here. Top is talking about it's this combination of passion and perseverance. And I think passion can really help drive perseverance too, right? We've talked about these long-term goals where it's like, let's say you want to buy a house someday, right? Maybe you want to buy your parents a house. Maybe you want to retire them or whatever it is. Thinking about that end result, thinking about having a backyard barbecue, on your patio with like friends and family, or the smile on your parents' face saying thank you and how proud they are that you were able to do all these things in your life. Whatever it may be, think about what that end result is, the passion you have towards that, because that's what's going to allow you to persevere through all the hard times. Getting to a lot of these goals isn't easy. Having a great career, buying a house, they are totally achievable and you can do it. But you need to have the passion and the perseverance to get there. On that note, I'm going to ask a couple people, how about Genesis Orantes? I'm kind of curious, like maybe either something you're passionate about or definitely want as a long-term goal that you're going to work towards. What is it that you're passionate about or really want to get done?
Something that I'm really passionate about, I want to have a long-term goal, is probably continuing folklorico, like in college.
Say that one more time.
Is probably continuing folklorico after high
Oh,
school.
folklorico. Is that like ballet folklorico or okay? Somewhat familiar. Okay, awesome. All right, so you're passionate about it. What is like? How are you going to get through and do it? Like, if you're like, what are the challenges right now? Does it take a lot of time? Is it like something you haven't done before? Did it take up like a lot of your energy? And how are you going to like overcome maybe anything that you're feeling about it?
Um, well, some challenges is that like I feel like I'm not as prepared to some extent. Like I feel
Mm,
like I get really unmotivated to some extent. And then
mm.
I want to like, even though I know that people are gonna be better than me, like I know that some people are gonna be worse. So it's like I'll be able to grow over time. And because it's like only like my first year, so like after years move on, like I think I'll be able to like be better at it? Question mark.
Okay. Well, you don't need to know the exact answer right now, but you know you can get better at it, right? And again, you said too, like this is your first year. That's almost always going to be the hardest time is when you're first learning, first stepping into it, maybe have some uncertainties about how you perform versus other people or whatever it may be. Um, but I love that you're like, I know I'm gonna, I can get better over time. It's my first year when I'm in my second year, third year, and I'm still better than maybe other people too. And it doesn't have to be a direct comparison to someone else. But getting comfortable with where you're at and being like, you know what? I got to ask one more deeper question on this. Why do you care? Like, why are you passionate about it? Why do you care about folklorical?
Mm, I think I care about it only because like first physical like appearance is obviously beautiful. And I feel although mostly like in my school they have like normally the regions are like regions inside of like Mexico, which I am not from Mexico, but like I do really like the culture, and just because it's like something that I wouldn't believe that I would be able to do, like or I didn't believe that I would want to do it to some extent. So it's like just a nice thing to do.
That's so awesome. And maybe it's a little bit stepping outside your comfort zone, maybe just something unexpected too. But that passion was like, oh, well, have this interest in the culture, maybe a little bit of family stuff, a little bit of expanding beyond what you think you might have done or could do or whatever. And I just wanted to encourage you, again, keep those things in mind when you're having a hard time or when maybe you don't dance quite as great as the person next to you. All those other things, that passion behind it and what you want to achieve or what help you bring you forward. On top of that, I would say it's probably like meet some good people, maybe some friends, maybe some networking, maybe some other stuff in the future you never really know. So there's side benefits to it too, but keep that passion in mind. And thank you, Genesis, for sharing. I really appreciate it. A couple other things just on the slides here. You need some direction, right? So passion, like Genesis, for example, like passionate about folklorico, but let's say you never studied it, never joined a group, never went out and did it. It's not going to lead anywhere, right? Just having the thought in your mind, or just the passion for it isn't enough. You still got to go take action, make it happen. And you're doing that already. So congratulations again, Genesis. What else we have? So consistency over intensity. This is one of the most successful people always say consistency, consistency, consistency. And I'm probably the worst at this because I get passionate about things. I'll spend a bunch of time on it, but then maybe I'll let it drop the next week or the next month, or I'm not making those calls that I need to every single week to do the follow up. So there are ways to do intense bursts of effort, but if you're going to do it that way, you got to do them, some days later, and keep following up on it, not just one thing and done. So I do think actually consistency is probably one of the most consistent things I've heard about being successful from the most successful people that I've met. Let's go to the next slide, please. This should be our first workbook question of the day. If you don't already have it open, check the chat to open up the workbook submission form for today. The question here is, think about something you've stuck with over time. So something you didn't abandon, something you're consistent with. What helped you stay consistent when that initial excitement faded? Or maybe when you bumped up against some challenges? So go ahead and take a minute or so to write that down in your workbook, and we'll come back and talk about it. By the way, I forgot to do the announcements at the beginning. Make sure you got your name in there. I see the alumni, I think, student leaders, thank you. I see 6 people that don't have their cameras on. Kimberly, Katya, Genesis, Brianna, Alexander, and Georgina. If you can turn your cameras on, we appreciate it for full participation here. Now I got to ask, what'd you all write for this? Alexa, did you join as a student leader or no?
I did. I think I just forgot to edit that into the name.
Oh, no worries. I just made the announcements right now. I just forgot if I know I kind of bugged you about it last time. I wasn't sure if I thought you said yes. What'd you write for this question? Like something that you've really stuck with, and how'd you do that?
Something that I've stuck with over time is like finding new ways to like improve my grades if I was ever like struggling on an assignment or like there was like a test that bumped my grade down. And something that helped me to stay consistent was simply like going to tutoring or asking like some of the teachers like for help when I needed it.
Okay. And is that like, and I mean, I assume grades are important to you. Is that why you also, made sure you took the time to do it? Is that because of career stuff? Do your parents bug you about your grades, or why do you care about getting good grades?
I feel like it's a mix of both. It's not
Okay,
just like for like because my parents are my case, but I feel like I'm
sure.
sometimes also on my own case like as well about like wanting like good grades and like wanting to like stay consistent with them.
Okay, and I don't know if it's the same with you, where it's like maybe at the beginning of the semester, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get all this stuff done. Then maybe halfway through, or by the end, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of this. So when you do hit that wall, it's kind of like thinking about what you're going to do with the education in the future. Is that mostly career rate related, or do you just like learning? Or
I think it's mostly career related for me.
okay, okay, cool. And what career?
I'm trying to study about like the occupation of a physical therapist.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. My sister's a physical therapist. She helped me out when I had some problem with my back, and it was amazing. So many people are going to be thankful for you in the future, because it can be really difficult when people are having pain or not able to move correctly. So great career. Thank you, Alexa, for sharing. I appreciate it. Let's go on to the next slide, please. So resilience, right? We're talking about bouncing back. I know I've shared this with you all before, but it's a quote that I love is Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And when you have that setback, we've talked a little bit about contingency planning. So how do you plan for the future? Like if like basically planning ahead of time for things that might go wrong. How do you kind of anticipate that in the future? But if you don't anticipate it, how do you reapproach that problem? And before you approach it again, you got to have the willpower to actually go do it, right? So not let that just knock you down and never get up again. We talked actually in the very beginning about the growth mindset, right? Having the positive mindset, the yes, I can overcome this. Yes, I can do it. And not the no, oh, this is too hard. Everyone already always told me I couldn't. So keep that growth mindset. You can do a lot more than you'd ever imagine, and a positive mindset. You really can go achieve it. Again, optimism helps, right? That positive thinking. Uh, Trying to find ways to reduce or at least kind of isolate your stress. I know we've talked about some different things in the past. I'm kind of curious what you all do because I think you sharing with each other is what's most helpful. What do you how do you deal with stress when you have a challenge? Maybe something doesn't work out correctly. Maybe you failed at something. How do you deal with that? I'm gonna ask, how about Allison Pennell?
Well, how I deal with stress is more like, that's actually a good question. I think I just like follow through and just get what needs to be done
Just kind of like
or find
charge
new
through it, sort of
ways.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you share an example with us? Maybe what's one time where you either had a challenge or some stress and you're like, you know what, I can't sit here and dwell on this. I just gotta like push through. Do you think of
Um,
something maybe from schoolwork or something else? Yeah, go
I'm a procrastinator, right? So I let all of my missing work
ahead.
pile up. So, and it was like overwhelming just seeing like all the stuff that I had to do, but in the end, you just like have to do it because it was my fault at the end of the day. So,
Okay, so just take responsibility. Don't dwell on it. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Just push forward and get it done. Is that about right?
exactly.
Okay, awesome. I've made tons of mistakes too. And I'm kind of the same way. It's like, well, what are we gonna do? Sit here and talk about it all day, or learn from it and go get the next thing done. I actually, I might have told you all, but I was in contract to purchase this property actually for 7.5 million. It was going to be a big construction project and maybe build like 10 houses and sell them for like 30 million. Awesome, awesome project. I've been working on it forever. And then there's all these problems that popped up. Eventually, the seller's family all wanted out of it. And I was at my conference, right? And everyone's asking, like, oh, how's the deal going? How's the deal going? And I'm like, it's dead. And they're like, oh my God, what are you going to do now? And I'm like, I'm going to go find another one. I learned a lot in the process. Yeah, I'm bummed. I spent a ton of time and I'm not going to make the money I thought on that one. But I'm going to take that knowledge forward and go crush another one in the next couple months. So that's the attitude that I'm trying to bring to. And I appreciate hearing that from you also, Allison. It's like sometimes you just got to push forward and get it done. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide, please. And this is our second workbook question. I know last time we didn't do a breakout room. I saw in the survey results, it was a little split, half and half. So we're just going to do a short breakout session towards the end of today for our next workbook question, not this one, but it'll just be a quick one. Some people were like, oh, I'd prefer to get asked and answer questions in the full group, and about the other half, kind of like the breakout rooms. So I'm trying to ask lots of questions while we're here together, and then give you all a chance to share a little bit more in the breakout rooms later in class. So your second workbook question here, think of a time you failed at something important. How did you respond, and what would you do differently now with the growth mindset? So I asked you all, hey, when did you have a tough time? What did you do to overcome it? When's maybe a time that you didn't overcome it? And how could you do something a little bit different today? Go ahead and take a minute or so to answer this question. We'll chat a little bit about it right when you come back. hopefully you all had enough time to answer this question. I'm curious what you all wrote too. Who else have I not called on yet today? Diana, Oriana, what did you write for this one?
I mentioned something that kind of happened in middle school that still kind of haunts me to this day.
Oh no.
I was in drumline, and the leader of like the one that would start off like the counts with the sticks or whatever, was absent that day. It was said that she was gonna be absent the next day when we had like a whole exhibition. And knowing that I could have been chosen to like start the count offs, I didn't practice. And I remember clearly thinking like, oh, I should practice because it could be me. But I didn't do it. And then the next day when my instructor announced that it was gonna be me, I had no clue what to do. So in front of the whole school, I embarrassed myself, didn't do it, and I think like this is the moment that I realized like if I know something's gonna happen, like I should prepare for it and just keep myself accountable that if I can control something, then I should take accountability for it.
I appreciate that, Diana, and thank you for sharing. It can be a tough thing sometimes, and it's still you said it still haunts you today. I said, especially that word usage. I was kind of like, wow, it still haunts you today. Hopefully, and it sounds like you're taking that haunting, so to speak, in a good way, right? In a positive way to the future. It's like, I don't want to get caught like that again, rather than dwelling on, maybe it was a little embarrassing, but who cares about whoever in middle school. Thank you for sharing that. I actually, I shared I just had this conference this last weekend and I was doing a couple speeches. I'm also like introing everyone. I'm running the whole conference and I just did not set aside time to do my presentations. I thought I had one on artificial intelligence I was speaking on. And so I ended up making a presentation in like the 5 minutes leading up to my presentation and had just threw it to my event planner. I'm like, figure out how to get this on the screen. And to be honest, I thought it went okay for something that was prepped for 5 minutes, but it was frankly pretty freaking weak. And they're all there, because I invited them. Basically, it would have been such a better impression if I would have done it correctly. But I procrastinated. I did all these other things. But it was a learning moment for me too. I'm like, I saw some other speakers that blew them away, and I'm like, I know I could do this too if I could just play, if I or when I plan a little bit better, not if I can or if I do. So again, thank you, Diana, for sharing that. I had something different, but maybe similar-ish at least this last weekend. Let's hear from one other person. I think we got enough time. How about Jose Becerra? What'd you write for this one? Becerra.
Like this question on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you think of a time maybe you failed and like, what happened and maybe what you do differently this time.
Sure. Um, I think like one instance would probably be like when I like didn't do the best in my class last semester, and like now I'm implying like not implying like I'm like creating better study habits and like a better schedule. Like yeah,
Nice. Well, so how do you do this? Because we all got to learn from each other here. How do you create better study habits and a better schedule? Like, did you use
yeah,
a calendar? Are you doing like certain days, certain classes, or what's the tips?
yeah. So I already had like a Google Calendar like the whole time, but I just like to like added like certain times where I would just like commit to just going to the library and doing my homework and studying.
Okay, so setting certain like locations and times, so make sure you like get
Yeah.
everything done.
Yeah, like knowing where I work the best.
Awesome. I know we talked about that a little bit too. It's nice to have some kind of designated space, even if it's not totally private or whatever it is, something maybe to signal you're working, maybe pop headphones in, block out the brothers and sisters, whatever it may be. So I'm glad that you've identified something and it's working for you and you're responding a little bit different now than you did last semester. So thank you for the example, Jose. I appreciate it. Let's go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so we got kind of a step-by-step way to approach this. How are you going to build grit and resilience, right? When you're encountering those challenges, when you're working towards your goals. And one thing here, right, is you got to first figure out what's important to you. If you have 500 long-term goals, I mean, I don't want to discourage anyone, but you got to like figure out what are you going to focus on, right? You may have a billion interests and like all these different things, that you want to do. What's most important for you? So choosing a challenge that you can stick with, and you can stick with any challenge, right? But picking something that's important to you and then sticking with it, right? We talked about consistency. We talked to ways about kind of decision architecture to set up your life to make it easier to make those correct decisions and just sticking with it. Think about that, the passion that you have, the reasons you're doing it, and the end rewards that come with achieving that goal to help keep you motivated to get to the end result. The second, it says reframe failure as feedback. I kind of was talking about this with my own example, right? Because I was like, oh man, I totally screwed up at this thing. I had 0 pictures, by the way, on my slides. So super not engaging, especially for a thing that should have had all pictures, basically. But what I actually took it as is when I saw how much other people did better and I did better on one of my own other speeches, I was like, wow, here's a list of things that I can do better, not only prepping better, but less words, more pictures, like funny pictures that'll make people laugh and stay engaged. So taking each of my little failures as a way to improve for the future. And I know you all have talked about ways that you're doing that too. So I think on track, but just think about ways to do this when you have those challenges that make you want to quit. And lastly on here, small consistent habits. You don't need to change everything you do overnight. I know back when I was having a tough time in high school, I wasn't going to graduate. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do this, and get A's and blah, blah, blah to raise my GPA. And, my counselor's like, look, that'd be great. Strive for that. But if you think that's too hard to do right now, focus on what's achievable that's going to get you toward your goal. And having small, consistent habits that are going to get there. So even if you can't solve everything overnight, that's okay. Get started today. Take that first footstep on moving towards that goal and know that you can get there by utilizing all these tools, right? Breaking bigger problems down into smaller problems. Have consistent habits, that decision architecture of setting your life up in ways that it makes it easier to make good decisions to get towards your goal. Let's go ahead to the next slide, please, because this is going to, I believe, be our last workbook question. And again, we're going to hop into a little bit of a breakout room after that, have some additional time to talk about it, then some time for the survey. We have our announcements as always and kind of what's coming up for next week. So go ahead and I would say maybe take a couple minutes to answer this one because it's kind of a multi-step process. And again, we're going to be talking about this. So bring in an area that's important to you, so that we can really make some kind of meaningful discussion as we get back from this workbook question. We can go ahead and start some music and we'll chat about it in just a couple minutes. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully that was enough time to get it completed. YC staff, if you can let me know how many people have started their responses versus finished their workbook submissions. I don't think I can quite figure that out. I appreciate it. And I'm going to call on some of you to share with the rest of your classmates so we can all learn from each other here. Caitlin, what did you write for this one? Where do you want to become more resilient? And what are you going to do to get there?
I wrote about being more consistent about just studying in general. My area of focus would be mostly the classes I struggle with. My daily action would be at least to study for 10 minutes for each day. And how I'll stay consistent is by setting up reminders that'll keep me reminded on when I should do it or just doing it without getting distracted easily.
I love that. It sounds like a full plan here. I'm going to ask one more question though. So you said like maybe set something up like a notification or something. How are you going to do it? You just like set an alarm,
Yeah, I'm gonna just set
notification
an
in your
alarm for any.
calendar, or
Yeah, set an alarm.
oh, okay, just like repeat weekdays or something at this
Yeah.
time. Okay, cool. I'm not trying to bug you, but I was just curious because like sometimes I set the Google Calendar stuff and it's like a notification, but it won't actually like buzz like an alarm does. So I found that like the alarms kind of help you out in some way. But again, everyone's got a different strategy. But the more you kind of know about the strategy you're going to take and the specific actions and how you're going to do it, in which software, in what manner, what buttons you can press, like all those things will help you, actually execute on the plan. Because then you don't have to think as much about like, oh, I'm going to set a reminder. And it's like, oh, well, where am I going to do that in Google Calendar? Am I going to do it here? Am I going to set an alarm? Am I going to set a repeat, alarm, whatever it may be. Um, One thing I'll throw out, and you got to check to make sure it works, but I used the like AI thing on my phone, and I was like, "Hey, I needed actually I need to do these stretches for physical therapy because I messed up my back. I've had some motorcycle accidents, some moving stuff, all kinds of stuff." And I asked it, I was like, "Hey, can you set 5 alarms per day, equally spaced between 8 a.m. and like 7 p.m.?" and make them each weekday. And the first time it messed up, but the second time it did good. So I was like, oh, okay, this is a kind of cool, interesting way to help me get a little bit more organized and schedule those things that I might not do. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Again, you got to make sure it's right with anything with AI. But thank you, Caitlin, for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm going to ask one more person before we hop into our breakout rooms. You can share a little bit more individually. How about Kimberly? Is that Jimenez?
For my area of focus, it's kind of similar to Caitlin's. I put becoming more consistent with completing and staying focused on my schoolwork. I put that I'm at least gonna spend 30 days reviewing, studying, or working ahead on my homework each day just to um, at least get started on it or at least finish it. And if there's a test coming up this week, like at least staying focused. And I'm gonna do this, or like how I'll be consistent is I'm gonna have a planner. I'm gonna write out like my agenda, and I'm gonna just try to stay organized with my work, whether it's online or on paper.
I love it. I always actually have a challenge with the between paper and online. I told you I was using my whiteboard for a while, and I'm like, okay, I need to have it in front of me. Kimberly, do you already have your planner?
I do. One of my teachers provided me a planner, and I basically just set up all of my like to do list, like all the assignments that I have to do throughout the week.
Okay, now I got to ask a question because I'm horrible with this. I got a planner and then I like throw it in a drawer somewhere and I never look at it. How do you make sure you got to advise me here, give me some tips. How do you make sure that you do the stuff in your planner? Do you have like a reminder to look at it at a certain time, or do you like put it on top of your head while you're sleeping so you wake up and it's like right there? Or what's the secrets to make sure that stuff gets done?
Mine's pretty much like very bright, like bright colors, and I always have
Mm.
it outside and open. So I feel like having the fact that it's like super colorful, it catches my eye and I always look
Mm.
at it. But I just think having it like near you or by you and always having it open makes you like remember you have it. Because sometimes I'd be forgetting and I look at it and I'm like, oh, I have to get this done. But you can also do reminders because I know I put reminders for myself so that I can remember.
Okay, reminders to like go to the planner or something like I guess, and then you don't have to set like 50 reminders for everything in the planner. It's like, oh, just reminders to go back to the planner or something like that. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'm like, I've been so horrible at it. I think being physically present is an important thing for me. So I appreciate you're like, oh yeah, leaving it open somewhere. And maybe a less conventional thing is like it's just colorful. It catches the eye, right? Which is why all these advertisers use color and we did the menu exercise, right? There's something about visually what it's like and how we react to it. So thank you again for sharing that, Kimberly. I appreciate it. Now we are going to hop into breakout rooms for just a few minutes. I believe there's maybe three student leaders. Alexa, do you want to be a lead one of these groups as a student leader today?
Sure, I'd like to do that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do a quick one then, because I think we have maybe four student leaders and three, I don't know. I'll let YC staff figure it out, but we'll probably have six or seven groups. So it's just going to be maybe three, maybe four people per group. So why don't we just do a quick one since y'all had kind of a mix? I feel like we've had a chance to chat. We're gonna do a quick 3-minute breakout room. I know it seems so short, but I want to give you all just a little bit of time to talk to each other a little bit too about what's working, what's not working. I think about half of you maybe have shared so far while we're in class. So student leaders, maybe if you can, if you know who hasn't spoken, feel free to call on them first. But I'm going to have YC staff kick us all into these rooms as soon as it's ready. Usually I go like this. I go, oh, we're going to be answering this question here that we just talked about, right? So an area of life where you want to become more consistent, resilient. How are you going to do that? How are you going to remind yourself to do it? So we'll go ahead and break out into our breakout rooms in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, it doesn't always work at the exact moment, but it has worked before most of the time. Okay, there we go. We'll see you all back here in just a couple minutes.
No, we saw that it said like 0, 0, and we're like, are we supposed to go back? Or is he gonna tell
Oh,
us?
no,
I
it's all
decided to come
good.
back to check.
No, it's all good. Everyone's trickling in now. But since we're already chatting, Diana, is there like maybe some common themes that you heard in your group as far as what those challenges are, what maybe what's, oh, only 5, okay. Sorry, I got distracted looking at something. Yeah, what maybe commonalities or maybe some contrasts, like what was different among the students in your breakout room?
We talked about eating healthier as
Uh,
being one of the challenges. And
what were some of the maybe
something
solutions, or how do we overcome these challenges?
one of the solutions we were talking about was roping in someone else to do it with you so you have like a buddy. So you have motivation to do it.
Kind of accountability buddy. It's like, okay, have you been doing this? Okay, I cheated today. Um, have you been doing, is this for you or just other people in the class? Have you been doing that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Me
is it working?
and the sometimes.
Okay. Is it helpful to have?
Yeah, it's helpful because by yourself it's a lot harder. Because you're like, who's gonna know?
Mm. I like that. I think, it's a common thing, I think, for it to be very difficult for a lot of people. I'm not good at it at all. I'm trying to be a little bit better. I think I told you all last time in class, I moved my jump rope from my back patio to like my coat hook near the front door because I go out my front door more often. So I'll be able to see it on my way out and I'll like kind of jog jump rope down to the store when I'm going to get something or like little things like that. So I appreciate that. Again, sometimes it's just these like little nudges. How do we, have someone else included or make it a little bit easier, like that decision architecture to make it easier for us to succeed? And having accountability from someone, especially if you care about them, they care about you, can be a huge incentive to get there. Thank you, Diana, for sharing. Let's see, Georgina, did y'all have like something similar in your group? Maybe something different?
No, everyone in my group was completely different. So we had one student
Okay.
that was focused on the school and academics. Well, they were both focused on the school and academics, but they had different like daily actions and how to stay consistent. And then we had another student who was focused on eating healthier. I personally was focused on the aspect of like physical health and just like going out and taking a walk or just exercising. So there was like no consistency in our experiences and in sharing, but there was like that aspect of like tracking things down and just like um yeah, and journaling.
Yeah. Well, I love this point actually too, because even though there might be different challenges or different goals or whatever it may be, a lot of the solutions can be similar, right? We talk about some of these tools to like, okay, what is that challenge that we're facing? How do we prepare for it? How do we prepare for when it might not work out well or fail? Or how do we come back, right? That resilience, that grit. And again, I think these concepts, these tools can be applied broadly to so many different challenges out there. So I appreciate that you kind of like, it seems like you guys kind of saw that, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, this is healthy eating, this is schoolwork, this is that. But there's some similar, again, tools that we can use to help address them and overcome those challenges. Thank you for sharing, Georgina. I won't have a chance to go and talk to everyone from the groups, but again, the idea here is just based on the survey feedback that we received from you all. Some of you like the group stuff altogether, some of you like the breakout rooms. So try to do a little bit of each today so everyone gets a chance to talk. Hopefully that worked out well. If you hated it, let me know on the survey. If you loved it, let me know. Somewhere in between, whatever it is. Again, we always want to improve for you. So we do look at those. And I know our class was a little bit different last week. But with all that, I want to make sure you all have time to complete your workbook. A lot of you have started, not many of you have finished yet. So go ahead and finish up your survey. Next week, we're going to be talking about the 4 agreements. This is a book, a really good book actually, that we did for the summer book club a while back. And there's actually there's a lot to it, but basically you're going to speak with integrity. You want to have self-respect, and you need basically everything that's going to feed into supporting confidence, building relationships with other people, adding value to other people, and basically just honestly is like doing what's right. I think we'll talk more about it next week. Let's go to the next slide, which I guess is the finish your survey. Go ahead and take a couple minutes to finish this up before we do the announcements. And we will I'm going to take a look at who submitted them so far, because again, you should have time to complete them here. If you can't, get it done by Friday, but I want to make sure we give you time to finish it. So go ahead, we'll play you some music and then do a couple minutes of wrap up at the end here. Okay, we're going to do just a couple announcements for what's coming up. If you need to finish your survey, go ahead and complete it now. But we've got another Ignite speaker series coming up. Again, if you actually, how many of you were at Miller's, at the Magicians? but also he's doing so much more than that. Okay. Looks like about half of you. I know it seems like when we were talking to students, that's what stuck most. Obviously, he's doing an amazing job in his business, like clothing, working with all these celebrities and stuff. But always get great folks. So again, go ahead and sign up if you'd like to be out there. It's on Zoom. You don't have to show up in person. Get some points, learn a bunch, make some money, get paid. Field trip, the World Cup Symposium, learning a bit about all the different like careers, jobs, everything that can benefit from when something big is coming into town. You know, Olympics are going to be, or I'm sorry, this is World Cup. I said Olympics that I had in my brain recently. But the World Cup's coming. It's going to be huge. You're going to be able to talk to all kinds, well, I should say, learn all kinds of different ways that this huge event is going to impact business, the city, how people make money, marketing, all kinds of different stuff and logistics. So sign up there if you can make it out. The RSVP deadline is March 6th. This is an in-person field trip. And lastly, the Rotary Club of Los Angeles has a sponsorship. This is for seniors only. So if you are a senior, check out that link. If you are not, it won't be relevant to you. That makes it 6 o'clock right now. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for sharing. I really appreciate it. All of our students, our student leaders, our alumni, YC staff, thank you so much. Have a great week. Go get stuff done, implement these things, and I will be here with you next week. Talk to you then. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thanks for the class.